Hello friends, welcome back to the mothership. Today we are smoking up these delicious smoked duck buns. Let's get started. For our duck preparation, the first thing we want to do is score the skin side. What that's going to do is it's going to allow the skin to really crisp up a lot better once we get to that section of the cook. Now, it's important here to not do what I did right there, and that is you only want to cut just the skin layer. You really don't want to go all the way into the meat, which again I just did. Just kind of want to do a cross pattern like this, getting all the way through the skin but not going as far as the meat. That looks pretty good. Now this next step is also kind of important. What we want to do here is we want to combine all of our seasonings. So we have our rice wine, actually that was the soy sauce, excuse me, our rice wine, our 5-spice and salt, and our olive oil. We want to get it mixed up pretty good. Now when we're marinating this, we want to make sure that the skin stays out of the marinade. We only want the actual meat to get marinated. We want the skin to start drying out as much as possible because that'll help with it when we eventually sear it off and get it crispy. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to pour in just enough to cover the meat, but not much of the skin. And I'm going to move it over, make sure that this side gets covered. At this point, you could wipe it off. So there's a little bit on the sides here. I'm going to paper towel that down a little bit. And then we're going to put it in the fridge, not covered, because I want this to dry out as much as possible before it goes onto the smoker. The first step in creating our buns is to combine our warm milk, our warm water, our olive oil, half of our sugar, and our active yeast, and then whisking it together until it's nice and dissolved. Then we're just going to sit and let the yeast kind of wake up and absorb some of those sugars. It should start to foam a little bit. This process will take about maybe 5 to 15 minutes, depending, and then we can move forward. Just looking at our yeast mixture, you can tell that it's activated by the amount of foam that's on top. What we're going to do is take all of these wet ingredients, combine them with our dry ingredients, which is our flour, our baking powder, salt, and the rest of our sugar, into our handy dandy stand mixer, and we're going to run a dough hook on it for about 5 minutes until it gets to a nice kind of spongy consistency that's not too sticky. Then we're going to roll that into a ball, put it back into the mixer, and cover it and wait for about 2 or 3 hours. You know what happens then, it's going to double in size or triple in size or whatever, but we're really looking for it to be nice and spongy before we move on to the next step. All right, our dough is done. You can see the size of this ball now. I let mine go honestly for about 5 hours, so it's not really a hard and fast rule to get it done in 2. But here's our dough ball. What we're going to do is we're going to roll it out to about a 1/4 inch flat. And then I'm going to use this, which is the only thing I could find. It's a tumbler that's 3.5 inches. I'm just going to cut little circles, put them onto a parchment paper, and I'm going to put that aside until I'm actually ready to steam them, which I think steaming will probably be pretty quick. So I'd rather get these done out of the way in advance, and then in the future, I can just toss them into the steamer and be ready to go. So before these go into the bamboo steamer, I'm just going to coat one side of them in olive oil and then fold them in half. That'll give us the shape that we're looking for. I think timing, we're looking at like 10 to 15 minutes actually on the steamer, so fairly quick. I'll probably do these about the same time that I take the duck off and then sear it off. So now it's time to get that fire going. Our smoker is now at temp, running at 180 degrees. I have the duck with the skin side up on the top shelf, and as you can see, I actually have I'm not sure if you can see, but there's a drip tray underneath there. I want to catch all the duck fat that renders out of this thing because duck fat is basically liquid gold. So I highly recommend doing that. Also, it'll probably leak fat like bacon and just be completely disgusting. So drip tray is a good idea. Our goal here is to run it to about 110 degrees and then sear it off to about 135. So we're just gonna run this low and slow until it's done. While we were waiting for our duck to get up to temperature, I took our propane grill out, put it on high, and I got us a saucepan with some water on it to get ready for our steamed buns. As you can see, the pan is boiling away, so it's time to get our buns on there. I also put the cast iron skillet on there to start getting hot, and we're gonna sear off our duck pretty shortly. Here are our buns looking all pretty. Get them in the bamboo steamer, cover them up. And we're gonna give them 10 to 15 minutes on there. To crisp up the skin on our duck, we're going to just put it skin side down into a cast iron pan. No need to add any additional fat to it. Enough fat's gonna run out of this to make it just go perfectly fine. I'm gonna do this until about 135 degrees. So we're just gonna keep watching it, moving it around, making sure that it doesn't really burn, but we really want this skin to crisp up. Our little quacker is reaching the 135 temperature and looks pretty good to me. I think it's time to pull this and let it rest while we get the rest of our pieces ready. And our steam buns actually just went off and they're looking crowded but fantastic. Our duck took about 35 to 45 minutes. It was a smaller breast. A bigger breast will take a little bit longer. And to recap, took it to about 110, 115. Then we seared it off in a cast iron skillet. And then the buns took about as long as I thought they would, about 15 minutes on the bamboo steamer. And it's looking fantastic. I've never made buns before, and they're great. I'm really excited to bite into this thing, so let's give it the old chomp. This is a very different flavor than we've done on the UFO barbecue so far. This is a very Asian-inspired theme, and I really like it. I really like Asian food. I really like duck. I really like hoisin sauce, which is included in here pretty heavily. If you guys are interested in changing up your weekend routine, this is definitely one worth trying, especially if you have a bamboo steamer to make your own buns. You can probably find them in the store. Making your own is definitely the way to go. Stick around, guys. I got more stuff coming up. Like, subscription, all that jazz. Cook something great, guys. Take it easy.